big hammer for knockout. I draw the last card, and I have no prize cards left, so I have won the game. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Be Rich Cards, where we talk about all things Pokemon TCG. This video is part 3 of a beginner Pokemon series where I'm going over everything you need to know to play the trading card game. These are videos that you can go back and watch as many times as you need as a refresher, or if you just like the video. In part 1, I explained monster cards and energy cards. In part 2, we talked about trainer cards, standard rotation, and we began our first match. For today, we're going to restart our first match and learn all the parts of a turn and then end a match. Let's get into it. As you can see, we have our standard 60 card deck that can be a mix of creature cards, trainer cards, which are items, tools, stadiums, and supporters, and energy cards that can be basic energy cards or special. We draw cards from this deck and use our creature cards in our active spot and up to 5 benched Pokemon to knock out our opponent's active creature cards to then draw prize cards. The first person to draw 6 prize cards wins. And remember, any cards taken out of play go here in our discard pile unless a card played says otherwise. When a Pokemon is knocked out, it and any attached cards like energy cards or tools are sent to your discard pile. Let's restart our match. We have greeted our opponent with a handshake or a fist bump. Then we roll a dice or flip a coin to see who goes first. So I'm going to roll a dice. You can pick heads or tails or even or odd. Usually it's heads is even, tails is odd, but you can decide then and there. So I'm going to say I want to go with evens. So I'm going to roll. And this is a 1, so I have lost the roll. So the other player has the opportunity to choose who goes first. Let's say they want to go first, so I would be going second. After that is decided, each player makes sure that their deck is nice and shuffled. After shuffling, it's common practice to allow your opponent to cut, shuffle, or tap your deck, which is just leaving your deck alone. Our opponent has decided to cut our deck. Both players then draw 7 cards into their hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From your hand, each player must play at least one basic Pokemon card face down in their active slot on the field. Each player may also put up to 5 other basic Pokemon from their hand onto their bench. So let's see. Dunsparce, basic. Tinkatun, Tinkatink, basic. Manphy, basic. Oh my gosh, Dunsparce, basic. Tinkatun, stage 2, Dunsparce, stage 1, and Tinkatink. Now remember, if you draw your initial 7 cards and you do not have a basic Pokemon card in your hand, you may mulligan by shuffling your hand back into your deck and then redrawing 7 cards to see if you get a basic Pokemon card. You can do this as many times as possible until you get a basic Pokemon card. But for the number of times you mulligan, your opponent is allowed to draw up to that many extra cards. So let's see. Let's decide what Pokemon we want on the field. Now, this deck that I'm playing, it centers around Tinkatink. So, and its evolution Tinkatun EX. So I probably don't want that to be in the active spot immediately just because I want to build up the Pokemon into Tinkatun. So I'm going to say Dunsparce is going to go into the active field. Remember, it goes face down initially. Now, I have a lot of decisions to make. I could go ahead and put these other 4 Pokemon onto the bench face down, but I also have to think about the long game and whether or not that is going to be best for me. Dunsparce and its evolution, Dunsparce, have an ability which allows us to draw 3 cards. So I want that to go ahead and be on the field so that the next turn I can evolve it. I'm going to go ahead and put Tinkatink down, and you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and put all 4 of these down. Why not? I've got to go ahead and do this for our opponent because I'm acting as them. For this, I'm not going to show you the cards to act as if we're in a real game. You wouldn't see your opponent's hand. After placing any Pokemon cards onto the field, you take the next 6 cards from your deck, keeping them face down and placing them into your prize cards. Remember, these are the cards that people draw when they've knocked out a Pokemon card, and the first person to draw all 6 wins. So I'll do that for our opponent as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, you can wish your opponent good luck, and then you flip over any Pokemon in your active spot and on your bench. You've started your first game. Now the person who decided to go first starts their turn. So there's 3 main phases: draw, actions, and attack. Once you attack, you do any damage that attack does, you resolve any effects that the attack has, and then you immediately end your turn. And it goes to the other person. We start our turn, I'm acting as the other player, by drawing a card from the top of your deck. Now, if there are no cards in your deck at the beginning of your turn, like we've been playing turns after turns and this deck has gone down, there's 0 cards, you can't draw anymore, then the game is over and whoever the other player is wins. So if in this instance he or she was not able to draw a card from their deck, I would end up winning, and vice versa. The player has drawn a card, put it into their hand, and they can do any amount of these actions. You can put a basic Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, as many as you have space for. Remember, we can only have up to 5 benched Pokemon. So if you have space, you can put a basic Pokemon down. You can evolve your Pokemon. Now, this is a little bit tricky because you can't evolve your Pokemon on the first turn it was played, or if it's the first turn that it's been played. So you can evolve as many as you're able to, but it just can't be the first turn. So for instance, the opponent right now, they cannot evolve Squirtle even if they have the evolution, and the same for me in my first turn afterwards. I can't evolve these immediately. When a Pokemon evolves though, it keeps all attached cards and any damage counters it already has on it. Effects or special conditions end when evolving, like poison, confusion, paralyzation, those end. You cannot use abilities or attacks from the previous evolutions. Dunsparce evolves into Dunsparce, so I can't use Gnaw or Dig once that has evolved. Now, there are some abilities that allow you to do that, but it has to be pretty explicit on the card that you can do that. I have to use the abilities and the attacks that are on Dunsparce. Another action you can perform is you can attach an energy card from your hand onto one of your Pokemon. That is once per turn. You can only attach 1 energy card from your hand to your Pokemon, benched or active, once per turn. The next action you can do is play trainer cards. You can generally play as many trainer cards as you want, but you can only play 1 supporter card per turn and 1 stadium card per turn. However, items and tools, you can play as many as you are able to. You cannot play a supporter card if you are the first player to play. So our opponent has decided to play first. They cannot play a supporter card on their turn. It would get to my turn, I can then play a supporter card. Another action that you can do during your turn is you can retreat your active Pokemon once per turn. Each Pokemon has a retreat cost in the bottom right of the card. You discard the number of energy cards listed under its retreat cost to allow it to retreat. You keep all other attached cards and damage counters like tools. So this card has 0 cost, so I can decide to retreat it without needing to discard any energy. But a card like Tink-a-Tink has 1 retreat cost, so I'd have to have an energy on there already and then discard it to retreat. And retreating basically just looks like this. You take the card, put it onto the bench, and then you move one other of your benched Pokemon onto the active spot. The final action that you can take during your turn is any of your Pokemon's abilities. For instance, I was mentioning earlier that Dunsparce evolves into Dunsparce. An ability looks like this. It's usually red highlight or red text. This ability and all abilities have very specific text, and you have to follow them exactly as they are written. So for instance, this one is called Runaway Draw. Once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, you shuffle this Pokemon and all attached cards into your deck. So I can use this Pokemon's ability. It's a once per turn ability because once I do it, this card basically gets shuffled right back into my deck, and I have to pull another card out into the active spot based on where we are right now. That's all the actions you can take in your turn. When you're ready and you've done all the actions you want, you can then attack with your active Pokemon, which would then end your turn. These are the basics of a turn. Your 3 steps are draw, any actions you want to take, and attack. And now I'd like to just finish out this match and continue forward as if we're playing, so you can get a sense of what a match looks like and how the turn flows. So this is still our first turn. I've taken a long time to explain all of the things you can do on your during your turn, and now we are finally getting into the actual game. So it's our opponent's first turn. They are going to go. We already drew a card. Again, I'm not showing you the hand because this is our opponent's hand, and I'm trying to play as if, you know, this is the real deal. They're going to use Radiant Greninja's ability, Concealed Cards. You must discard an energy card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. So you can only use this ability once, and you may draw 2 cards. So that is what our opponent is going to do. They're going to take this water energy, they're going to discard it, and they draw 2 cards. They don't have to reveal. Opponent is going to attach a water energy once per turn. You can do that. They're going to attach it to Radiant Greninja. Radiant Greninja's attack needs 3 energy, but you can discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, and the attack does 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So it needs 3 energy just to be able to attack. They don't have enough yet, so they end their turn. Now it is my turn. I'm going to draw a card for turn. Buddy Buddy Poffin, a great card. It allows you to search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less and put them onto your bench. Then shuffle your deck. I don't really have a ton of space right now. In terms of bench, I have 1 more that I can do because I only have 4. And I have evolution cards, but I can't evolve during my first turn. So I'm my hands are a little bit tied. I can't really do anything. I have to pass. Opponent draws for turn. Opponent is again going to use Radiant Greninja's Concealed Cards. They discarded an energy. They draw 2 cards. Now they can evolve Squirtle or Radiant Greninja if it evolved. So they have this card, Rare Candy. Rare Candy is an item card. Choose one of your basic Pokemon in play. If you have a stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, put that card onto the basic Pokemon to evolve it, skipping stage 1. You can't use this card during your first turn or on a basic Pokemon that was just put into play this turn. So we've kind of already talked about that. So Squirtle is now going to evolve. I'm getting confused with the way things are done. To Blastoise EX. See, this is a stage 2 card. Normally, you'd have to evolve Squirtle into Wartortle first and then into Blastoise EX. But Rare Candy allows you to skip that stage 1, and Squirtle is already evolved into Blastoise. Attach 1 water energy to Blastoise EX. They're going to use Buddy Buddy Poffin, which we had in our hand. They're going to put down Squovit. Bidoof. I'm a little bit pressed for space here, so forgive me. This is going to be kind of all over the place. They've done an item card which allows them to go into their deck and they have to shuffle it. It's customary to then allow your opponent to cut or tap your deck after shuffling. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut their deck and then I will put it back. They continue their turn. This is after their first turn, so they can play supporter cards now. This is a supporter card called Irida. It allows you to search your deck for 1 water Pokemon and an item card, reveal them, so they have to show them to me, and then put them in their hand, then shuffle their deck. Shuffle their deck. I'm just going to tap this time just for the sake of time. They show me what they drew because they have to reveal it. Energy Retrieval and Origin Form Palkia are going to put Origin Form Palkia onto the field, onto the bench. They don't have enough energy to do their attack. They pass again. And this is somewhat typical of games, that it might take a turn or two to really get everything set up so that you're ready to actually get things moving. It's my turn. I've drawn a card. I forget that you're right there, so you want to see what I've got. So I'm going to finally be able to, it's my second turn. I can now evolve Dunsparce into Dunsparce, and I drew Great Ball. Great Ball is an item card. It allows me to look at the top 7 cards of my deck. I can reveal a Pokemon card that I find in those 7 cards and then put them into my hand. I then shuffle the other cards back into my deck. So I'm actually going to do that. It's the top 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can look at any of these, and are there any Pokemon? Junk. No. Dang, all item cards. These all just have to get shuffled back into my deck. I offer my deck. I've shuffled it. My opponent is going to cut. I can offer my deck to cut or tap. They're going to tap. Again, we're just kind of saving time, but most people will end up cutting your deck. And now I'm going to bring our other Dunsparce because we don't have anyone in the active. Okay, great. So now I drew 3 cards. I've got Rare Candy, which is great. Nemona's Backpack, which allows us to grab if we've used any Nemona supporter cards, and Arizu, a supporter card, which allows us to get any evolution type cards, which is really great. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Rare Candy because remember we have this Tinkaton that is stage 2 evolution from Tinkatink. So I'm going to use Rare Candy to skip stage 1 and evolve this Tinkatink into Tinkaton. I will show you. It has this Gather Materials ability. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. It also has Special Hammer. It does 90, and if this has any special energy cards attached, it does 90 more. But we're not really using this card for its attack as much. We're using it more for the ability. I am actually going to now use Arizu. This allows me to search your deck for up to 3 evolution Pokemon that don't have a rule box, reveal them, and then put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So I need, I'm going to grab 1 Dunsparce. Let's just do Dunsparces. Dunsparce is here. It was here the turn prior, so I can still evolve it. I grabbed 3 Dunsparces, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to runaway draw, so I can draw 3. 1, 2, 3. Sweet. I got some more cards. Great. I have to shuffle this back into the deck. I offer my deck to cut or tap. They tap. We got this. Okay. I'm going to put Dunsparce on the thingamadooge. I'm actually going to bring Manaphy up because I'm just still not quite ready yet. It's taking me a little bit longer to get ready than I would like. But I do still have 2 Dunsparces. I've got 1 Dunsparce, so next turn, if I can grab another one, so I'm going to do Buddy Buddy Poffin, which allows me to search my deck for up to 2 Pokemon with 70 HP or less. So you better believe I'm going to grab another Dunsparce. And I guess if I have another Tinkatink, I can grab that as well. Offer, cut, or tap, they're going to tap. I can't evolve these this turn because they just got played. Let's see. I can't really do anything else, so I'm going to have to pass. It's our opponent's turn. They draw a card. They are going to use energy retrieval, which allows them to put up to 2 basic energy cards from their discard pile into their hand. Got those 2 back with energy retrieval. This is going on Blastoise. They're going to use concealed cards. They're going to discard again that water card, draw 2 cards, and they got a switch, which allows them to switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. So now instead of having to retreat and use the retreat cost, they can just do this immediately with no cost. And now Blastoise is in the active spot. They're going to use Nest Ball, which allows them to search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it into your bench. Got Squirtle. Offer their deck to me to cut or tap. I tap. Actually, yes. They're going to use now Ultra Ball, which allows them to discard 2 cards from their hand, and they can search their deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into their hand, then shuffle their deck. Reveal it. Origin Form Palkia V-Star. Put that into their hand. This is Origin Form Palkia V, and this is an evolution. Oh, this is an evolution. It's a V-Star, so V's evolve into a V-Star type Pokemon. So they grabbed this. They have an ability, a V-Star ability, which can only be used once per game. So rather than like your regular ability, this is a special ability, and it can only be used once per game. So they evolve Origin Form Palkia into Origin Form Palkia V-Star. We are now in the place that we can attack. Blastoise does Twin Cannons. They can discard up to 2 basic water energy cards from your hand. Oh, poop. Okay, actually, they're good. This attack does 140 damage for each energy card you discarded in this way. So, they're going to use Twin Cannons. They discard 1 energy card, which does 140 to Manaphy and knocks it out. What are we going to do? We're going to bring Dunsparce back. Now, they knocked out 1 Pokemon. This Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, so they get to draw 1 prize card. That ends their turn. I draw for a turn. Great. Okay. Let's get going, shall we? Okay. Evolve Dunsparce into Dunsparce. Evolve Dunsparce into... That's not what I wanted. Into Dunsparce. And we're about to get to draw 6 cards. We're going to do runaway draw twice for each of these, but we got to do them in turn. So 1, 2, 3. Use that Dunsparce. I have to shuffle this now because when I use the other one, I'll be drawing cards. So I can't just take another 3. You have to use abilities in turn. Offer them to cut or tap. They tap. I'm going to bring this Tinkatink into the active spot. It's not the greatest thing, but oh well. Use this to Dunsparce's runaway draw. Draw 1, 2, 3. I've gotta complete this. So I have this stadium card called Artisan. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck card for a basic Pokemon card that doesn't have a rule box and put it onto their bench. Then that player shuffles their deck. Stadium cards stay on the field unless another stadium card is played. So I play Artisan here. I'm going to use Artisan's ability, Radiant Jirachi. It has an ability that if it gets knocked out in the active spot, I can grab any 3 cards I want. And I think it's just going to take me a little bit more time to get this thing set up. Okay, cut or tap, they tap. Okay, I can use Capturing Aroma. Okay, that's great, this is an item. Flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hands. If tails, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. So I'm doing that. I'm really hoping for heads. I'm looking for an even. Yes. Okay, 2. So that's heads. I can search for an evolution type Pokemon, which is exactly what I needed to get this to actually be able to do much of anything to this Blastoise. I'm going to grab Tinkaton EX. Shuffle, they're going to tap. Tinkaton EX, 300 HP. And the attack we're really focused on here is Big Hammer. This attack does 30 damage for each card in your hand. This is where those Dunsparces are great. You get 3 extra cards, that's 90 damage, or 90 extra damage that you're doing with this attack. So we are evolving Tinkaton. We're evolving Tinkatink to Tinkaton EX. I have to use a rare candy to do that. I was doing all of that in my mind, but not thinking about it. Okay, and now this Capturing Aroma, it's an item, it goes away because we used it already. I have this double turbo energy. This is a special type of energy card. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides 2 colorless energy. The attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 20 less damage to your opponent's Pokemon before applying weakness or resistance. Blastoise has 330 HP. I need at least 12 cards. I'm not going to be able to do that this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's what I'm thinking. Right now, I have 6 cards. That means 6 times 30 is 180. Minus 20 is 160. So I'm not going to be able to knock Blastoise out this turn, but I can knock out a smaller Pokemon if I can get it onto the active, which, luckily, this is what this card allows me to do. You can use a Counter Catcher. You can use this card only if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. I do. I have 6. My opponent has 5. Switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon to the active spot. So that's perfect. Actually, wait. Let me think about this. I will then have 5 cards. So 5 times 30 is 150. Minus 20 is 130. So actually, yes, that still works. So great. Okay. Lovely. So I'm going to use Counter Catcher. I'm going to move Blastoise back onto the bench because I want to get rid of this Radiant Greninja. I don't like it. It doesn't like me. That's fine. Big Hammer. I have 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 30 is 50. Minus 20 is 130 for the knockout. Let's go. Okay. It was a basic card, so I only get 1. Great. Okay. And this goes to our opponent. He draws a card for a turn. Oh, he's going to bring back out Blastoise EX. They're going to use this A-Spec Maximum Belt. Attacks used by the Pokemon this card is attached to do 50 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX before applying weakness and resistance. That's coming in clutch for them. He's going to use this Pokemon's V-Star Power, Star Portal. During your turn, you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. This is like a little V-Star marker. So they'll flip that over, boop, just to indicate that they've used their V-Star power. I don't have, this deck does not have any V-Star cards, so I don't have that. He's taking 3. Dang it. This is not looking good. He's going to do 2 on Palkia and 1 on Squirtle. So they have to pass because this attack forces the opponent to discard energy cards from their hand, and they didn't have any, so they have to pass. I was going to, they could have retreated Blastoise, but they didn't have enough energy cards attached to it, which I just didn't even think of that at the time, and maybe a smarter person would have thought about that. Oh well. So they pass, and I draw a card per turn. Yes, Tinkaton EX, which is exactly what we want. But here's the thing. Oh, great. Okay, Tinkaton has Gather Materials ability. So they're going to do that. They discard 1 card. I'm going to discard this Buddy Poffin, and I draw 3. 1, 2, 3, which is exactly why we use this deck. I'm going to use Artisan to do Dunsparce. Do I have the Dunsparce? Yes, I do. Runaway draw. I'm going to draw 3 cards. This gets shuffled back into the deck. I asked them if they want to cut or tap. They tap. So let's see. So what do I do here? What do I do? I'm not going to be able to knock him out this turn. So it doesn't quite matter exactly how much damage I do as long as I can do it next turn. So I'm just going to play as normal right now. I'm going to use Rare Candy to evolve Tinkatink into Tinkaton EX just to be ready. I have another Turber in I have another double Turbo Energy in my hand, and I can attach it. This is my 1 for turn, so I'm going to do that. Let's see. Dang, I'm going to grab Nest Ball. Did I use Artisan already? No, I didn't. Oh, shoot. I should have done that. Do that. Dunsparce. And I'm going to use Artisan, bring out another Dunsparce. I need those Dunsparces to get more. Maybe I did do it already. Maybe I might be breaking my own rules here. Capturing Aroma, we roll the dice. Heads, evolution. Tails, basic. 6 even is heads. So I use a second Capturing Aroma. 5, okay, basic, which has some cut or tap. This goes into the discard. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they're going to use Big Hammer. 7 times 30 is 210, minus 20 is 190. And the turn passes to our opponent. They draw for turn. Squovit. Once during your turn, you may shuffle your hand and put it on the bottom of your deck. If you put any... Okay, actually, they're going to use that because they're in desperate need of a water energy. So they shuffle their hand and they put it on the bottom of their deck and they draw a card. Wasn't what they wanted, but they put a Origin Form Palkia V. They don't have any energy in their hand. They can't retreat, so they have to pass the turn. I draw for turn. Oh, wow. I got another Dunsparce. So lucky. They evolve this Dunsparce into Dunsparce, this Dunsparce into Dunsparce. Runaway draw. 3. 1, 2, 3. So this means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I can already knock them out, but I'm having to be ready for the next Pokemon as well. Cut or tap, they tap. I'm going to use Dunsparce again for 3. 1, 2, 3. Since I'm going to use Artisan's ability to get Dunsparce back, I'm just going to go ahead and do it before I shuffle, because there's no use in going and grabbing a Pokemon and then shuffling it all again. Cut or tap, they tap. 12 times 30 is 360, minus 20 is 340, so that helps me be able to knock out Blastoise in one go. But again, I'm thinking kind of the next Pokemon. So I'm going to do Big Hammer for a big number of damage, and that knocks out Blastoise EX. Now, for EX cards, you can read here. When your Pokemon EX is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards. So that's great for me. I draw 2 prize cards. They need to bring up a Pokemon. They bring up Origin Form Palkia V-Star that they draw for turn. They're going to use Subspace Swell. This attack does 20 more damage for each benched Pokemon. You're going to put Squirtle on the bench for 5 total, so that does 5 times 20 is 100 plus 60 is 160. So I'm going to draw for turn. I already have more than enough cards to do any damage that I want. So I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to keep going. Big Hammer for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. My goodness, that's 450 minus 20 is 430. That's a lot of damage. Knocks out Origin Form Palkia. They bring up this one. I draw 2 cards because that is a V-Star, which does the same as EX's. Our opponent draws 1 card per turn. We're going to attach this. Origin Form Palkia V does this. Search your deck for a stadium card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. It's not really going to do much of anything right now. That fails because they don't have any stadium cards. That was their attack, so it passes for turn. I draw a card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Goodness, so 180, so 480 minus 20 is 460. Big Hammer for knockout. I draw the last card, and I have no prize cards left, so I have won the game. Huzzah! You know, congratulate your opponent, good game, and then you're done. You have now finished your first game. So that's how a game is played. That is how the turns ebb and flow from one to another. In our next video, we're going to talk more about special conditions like confusion, poisoning, and paralysis that generally affect things in between turns or before attacking, and any other types of little intricacies that we didn't really see because of these 2 decks and the Pokemon they use. Alright friends, happy playing, and I'll see you in the next one.